Principle number 11, embrace adaptability and resiliency. Now, the project is operating in the uncertain environment. The world is becoming more and more dynamic day by day. How do we ensure or how do we build ourselves so that we can achieve our project outcome? Even when the situations are changing, even when we are discovering new information technologically, people wise, social wise, and there is a complex interactions and risks happening. Now, in order to do that, we need to build adaptability and resiliency in our project management approaches, in our project team, so that even in the changing environment, we can achieve our project outcomes. Let us understand a little bit about this particular principle by way of looking at some of the standard definition. So, what this principle is saying, build adaptability and resiliency into the organizations and project teams approaches, which to help the project accommodate, change, recover from setback and advance the work of the project. Because setbacks are expected to happen, the risks are expected to come, your estimations, your predictions are going to be faulty and you should have an ability to recover from it. That is the whole idea of adaptability and resiliency. So, adaptability can be understood as an ability to respond to changing conditions. Now, what could be the changing conditions? It could be the skill type changing conditions, it could be the environmental changing conditions, the cost changing conditions, geopolitical changing conditions, technological changing conditions. Some of these changing conditions may bring an opportunity. An improvement in technology can help you in saving cost, can help you in doing things faster, provided you are vigilant about it. Provided you can adapt that new technological change in your project. Your approach allows you that flexibility so that you can take these new things in account. Similarly, some of the changes might be negatively impacting you as a threat and you should have an ability to adapt so that even with those things you can achieve your project outcome. So, can I change my outlook? Can I change my approach? Can I change my project design? Can I change my milestones? Can I change the way I interact with my stakeholders? Can I change my team conditions and still achieve my project outcome? Is all about ability. So, ability to respond to the changing condition is the adaptability part. In today's world, you keep hearing about agile and adaptability very frequently because organizations, teams are looking for adaptability. Now, looks at resiliency. It is again ability to absorb impacts. You may have unknown things happening, we learned about in the risk as well, where things are very difficult to predict and if they are happening, they give you a shock, they give you some impact. Do you have an ability to absorb that impact and recover quickly from the setback or a failure? So, first, that ability to absorb the shock. Second, even if something goes wrong, how fast you can bounce back. Ability to bounce back is again something called resiliency. Nowadays, the adaptability and resiliency is not limited to projects. They are looked into at an organization level also because organization also wants to become adaptable as well as resilient. A focus on outcome rather than output facilitates adaptability. So, what does it mean? The whole idea here is we are focusing on producing some deliverable. Now, this deliverable helps me in achieving some customer needs and helps me in achieving some outcome. Now, my focus should be this outcome more than this particular deliverable. So, if I focus on outcome rather than just on deliverable, but deliverables are tool, they are the media of achieving outcome. When we show a flexibility and adaptability at this particular space so that we can navigate even in the changing conditions to achieve that outcome is something the goal of adaptability and resiliency. Now, these are the principal level things, the exact implementation will vary, but still in a standard even at this level some ideas are shared which can help us in becoming more adaptable and resilient. So, I am sharing some of those ideas from your project management standard. So, one of the thing which is basically focused upon is a short feedback loop. So, see, whatever we do in our project management, we may have a plan, do, check, act cycle and this is a repetitive thing. Sometimes you call it plan, do, adjust or learn act or study act, whatever it is, but it's all about we are doing something and then we are adapting it. That's the whole part. Now, if you have a fair amount of understanding of what you are operating in, you know your project area pretty well, you have pretty much stable environment, you can do a little long term planning and then you can do checking at a later stage because you have a pretty confidence on it. But as the world is changing very fast, it is becoming more and more needed that we should be doing validation of our plannings very soon, because whatever assumption or predictions you are making about your future things may not hold true after some time. So the short feedback cycle is saying that, okay, can you run this whole process in a shorter duration rather than planning for 2 months, doing things for 3 months, and after 6 months you are checking are we doing it right or wrong. Rather than that, can we do it maybe on a weekly basis or monthly basis? Now, when we complete the whole feedback loop by way of learning from our actions, the impact of the actions, by way of completing the total learning cycle, we can adapt faster because we discover the issues faster, we become more ready to deal with changing market conditions. So, it is not like, oh, I have already planned for 2 months, now I am executing in the 4th month and now you want to change because there is a new technology, how do I handle it because I already planned everything. That kind of approach may not make you adaptable. Rather than that, you can say, okay, we have just done some part of it, that part is anyway complete, for remaining part we are open to pick up new ideas. Looks like this is how we have designed our process. So, if we design that way, we are becoming more and more adaptable. Let us look at few more ideas. Regular inspection adaptation, kind of matching. If you have a short feedback loop, you can do a regular inspection and adaptation, and that helps you in doing continuous learning and improvement. So, I treat them these three as a together. So, what does it mean? Regularly checking things in a totality, completing the loop, learning from that particular loop, learning about your process, learning about your deliverable, learning about your stakeholder, learning about your system interaction, learning about the overall environment and overall complexity which is coming in your project. So, we keep our whole learning mindset open and we learn more when we complete the whole cycle frequently. So, this is like helps us in becoming adaptable and resilient. Now, let us focus on some of the team related things. So, it is expected when we have a team which can do multiple things. Many times you know the term like T-shaped professional and others. So, team with a broad skills, which means if something is needed in the other area, other people can also contribute. It is not like two specialized group where one person can only work in a one area. So, if you have a people who can do a cross work, you make your team more adaptable and resilient because they can help you in removing the queues and bottlenecks whenever the process demands more people inside it without looking for an external help. So, it's usually recommended to create a teams with a broad skills. You may have some specialized skills, which is like each team member may have some specific skill which they are master in, but they can do on average multiple areas work. So, that makes you little bit ready to take care of ongoing challenging. Diversity in your project team. Many times when you create a team which only thinks in a one particular way, that may not help you in becoming creative and ability to visualize the changing situations on a proactive basis. So, what is usually recommended is that we need to promote diversity. We need to include various cultures. Diversity can be seen in a multiple way: culture diversity, age diversity, experience diversity, geographical diversity, gender diversity. There could be multiple ways of looking at physical ability diversity, but the more and more diversity we brings in, the more and more we become more adaptable because we are developing a capability to think differently inside our team. So, that is the recommendation. We should have a multiple cross skill teams, we should have a diversified team that helps you in building your capacity to handle the adaptability and resilience. So, let us go further and talk about planning. This is something we are focusing now, collaborative planning. Now, the idea of collaborative planning is create a plan, create a process which is owned by your whole team rather than by few people. When you do so, you make it more understandable because when people have planned together, they understand what was the context behind the planning. If something goes differently than initially thought, they can adapt. So people can contribute and find a better way. So it is recommended as a project that we should focus on involving the appropriate stakeholders, all the team members or appropriate team members in order to do planning and execution of our work, rather than someone plans it and others executes it. Collaboration makes you ready for future surprises, because we want to deal with the future surprises. So, collaborative planning is a good idea. Small scale prototype pretty much matches with our short feedback loop. So, now this prototype is a thing, rather than building the whole thing, we probably want to make some small validatable component and prototypes. Sometimes you call the minimum viable products and etc., etc. So, without using those jargon, sticking to your standard language, small scale work before you make the whole scale work, and that can help you in learning, because you can see the behavior of the system at a smaller level, which can make you a little bit more ready for future challenges. Management support, if the management is only looking for variance reports, it is very difficult to create a ability to adapt and resiliency. So, we need to create a management and governance culture which focuses on learning and finding the way as situations are emerging, rather than management is only focusing on some fixed KPIs. So, we need to have a management support, management structure, management matrices to support adaptability and resiliency. Open conversation, open communication, open and transparent information exchange makes you see the issue early. If you see the issue early, you end up responding to the issue also fast. So, organization should create more transparent and open system of exchanging information, and that helps us in improving adaptability and resiliency. Balancing speed and stability, balancing velocity and stability, which is more or less with each other interpreted. So, it is like in the process of delivering something, I should not take a shortcut on qualities. I should not take a shortcut on the stability and predictability of my process. So, I need to create a stable, sustainable process as well as deliverable, and that should also come in at a desired speed. So, I need to balance these things. In the process of taking shortcuts, I should not end up missing the other demand of stability and overall sustainability of my product. New ways of thinking, in a way innovations. Yeah. So, we need to keep looking, because our goal is outcome, our goal is not just the deliverable or output. We always need to keep vigilant about what is happening in the industry, what is happening in the technology space, what is happening inside our organization by way of learning from other people's and other projects' lesson. And by doing so, we remain ready for adaptability as well as we make our process resilient enough. Set-based design. It is a last responsible movement, they are pretty much matching, though the word set-based design was not clearly coming in your standard. It was saying keep multiple design options and explore in order to find out what is appropriate for you. So, that is your standard speaking, but in general this is also called set-based design. So, what is set? It is basically focusing on adaptability as well as resiliency, that when you have a complex situations, do not work on just one option, single point solutions, work on few ideas, few alternatives. Because if something will not work, I have a backup something to take care. So, have some alternative candidate design, especially when you are not sure. Yeah. So, more and more variability or uncertainty requires more options. If the uncertainties are less, you can take one option, you can go directly there, but when the uncertainties are more, you should have multiple design options. And what do you do with those multiple design options? Why do you have it? You take the good design option as late as possible, we call it last responsible movement. So, you do not have to commit to a particular option till the time it is not needed, because it is an uncertain word. I will say I will need to think about 3 options and I will pick the best option at a point beyond which delay can cost me. So, I am not in hurry, at the same time I should not be delaying it too advance. I need to find, we call it a last responsible movement. So, say you want to go for a movie and you should not book the movie 1 week in advance. At the same time, you should not be looking for a movie ticket on the same day. Yeah, that's the thing. So you may need to find out a last responsible moment, which could be, depending upon the movie and the commitment from your side, could be maybe a 48 hours in advance. You can say, okay, 48 hours in advance I want to finalize my plan and I want to book the ticket, not before that, not after that. That will become my last responsible moment, because booking in advance might result into cancellation because my plans may change, and booking not till the final hour may also result into that you may not get the ticket to watch the movie. That's the whole thing. So the last responsible movement is an idea where it is saying collect your all the options, collect your all the learnings, find out the moment on which you should commit to your design options, to your approaches, and during that time or at that particular moment you should take a call that makes you adaptable and resilient, because now you are ready, you have taken care of other new information, you have not decided to go for a movie in advance, and based on the latest information I am taking the decision here. So this particular principle number 11 is pretty much aligned with agile way of working, which is a theme nowadays, which is also a reminder to all of us as a project leader, project managers, that in today's world we need to create project management approaches which helps us in facing the emerging challenges and help us in achieving the outcome even in this changing world. And building the adaptability and resiliency in our project approaches is a principle help us in doing so.